What's going on, good people? Vets, let's talk. I got a special guest in front of the formation today. Ladies, they on the formation. First Sergeant Sheila Hall. I'm sorry. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
How, how the hubby doing?
He's good. He's good. Hey, a lot of people probably remember me as Bounds. I'm
Yeah.
married, but I kept my name. I'm a modern woman.
Somebody had said that to me the other day. It's like that's bounce. I say, yeah, I know, but I gotta give respect to the hubby. Hey, before we get started, I'd like you guys to press that like, share, and subscribe. HBO special, help a brother out. So hey, this what we're about to do right now is about veteran benefits. So hey guys, don't you guys jump on here saying, hey, emailing me talking about, is it possible that she looks into it? No, she can't do that. We just going over some simple questions, and those questions can be answered. But before we get started, everybody has a story as opposed to where they were during 9/11. And I would like to know.
Well, on 9/11, I was stationed at Fort Bragg, and I had returned from PT, lived in a little apartment off post, and I was getting dressed, getting ready to go back on post to work, and turned on Good Morning America and saw what was going on. And it was just, it was crazy after that. They called everybody and told pretty much everyone, don't even come on post. It's a nightmare. And I sat glued to that TV for hours. Never forget.
Wow. Hey, I forgot to say thank you for giving me some of your time. This is your weekend. I know you and hubby probably got somewhere to go out to eat some lunch. Hey, and by the way, I gave him early 30s when I had the interview with him. I'm gonna give you your early 20s. So I got
Oh, you.
You're looking good. You're looking good. Let's go ahead and start these questions. What is disability compensation, and who qualifies for it?
Okay. A lot of people refer to compensation and pension. So I'm going to clarify both of those because they are actually two different things. Disability compensation is what most people are thinking of when they think about VA benefits. So disability compensation is exactly what it says. You will be compensated for injuries, illnesses, or diseases that were incurred during your military service or were caused by your military service. Pension is a different thing. Pension, to qualify for pension, you have to be a wartime veteran, not meaning you went downrange, but you served during a period of war, and you're not disabled due to service-connected conditions. Let's say you were service-connected for nothing, and then after service, you had a horrific car crash and you're all messed up. Oh. So pension is a monetary benefit, but it's not, you're never going to get rich. It just brings you up to the poverty threshold. So if you cannot work, you're fully disabled, it has nothing to do with service, and you just need a little bit of money to get you to the poverty level, that's what pension is. So most people are talking about disability compensation when they think of VA.
Right.
So qualifies for it is any veteran that has a character discharge that's something other than dishonorable. Dishonorable, you're not going to be able to get VA benefits. But if you have any other sort of discharge, even if you have like a bad conduct other than honorable, the VA will then make their own character of discharge determination on you, and you could still be entitled to benefits.
Yeah, that was one thing I was kind of confused about, because I've had a couple of soldiers that got this other than this. I'm looking at it like, you, what? I was confused about that. I didn't know about the pension either, but that's a lot of good information.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. They think like, oh, I got a general discharge, I can't get any benefits. That's not true. The VA will make their own determination and write you in, as we call it, to allow you to have benefits.
That's good info.
Yeah.
Like, how would someone go about starting the claim?
So if you have never filed a claim before, or if you filed one when you first got out and you want to try to get your percentage up, the things that I would suggest you do right off the bat is go create an account on va.gov. It used to be called e-benefits, but now you just go on va.gov. It's very self-explanatory as far as where to click. Once you start an account, you can go there, you can file claims, you can check the status of your claim, you can download letters that you might need for other benefits saying what your disability percentage is, whatnot. So I would do that right off the bat. And if you're pretty sure you're going to file a claim, while you're on that site, you should initiate what's called an intent to file. So an intent to file will preserve your date of claim. What does that mean? That means if I go on there today and file an intent to file on April 2nd, 2022, I have until April 1st, 2023 to get all of my documents in place and file my claim. And if anything was granted, it will be paid back retroactively to the date of my intent to file. So that's really important. You can also do all this stuff via the mail as well. And I'm sure you're going to show there's a list of forms and a mailing address that folks can use to file via the regular old mail. Then the other thing I would do if I was going to file a claim is get a copy of my service treatment records. Remember the big folder, and all of us had a different colored folder.
Right.
Yeah, yours was like that. If you didn't make a copy before you got out and you don't know where to start, you can actually ask the VA for a copy of your medical records. So you can just write in a regular old letter on a piece of paper to that same address and request a copy of your service treatment records under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. And it may take a little bit, I'd say like maybe a month, but you'll get your records. The reason I say that you should get a copy of your records is because after you get out, a lot of us are like, boy, man, my knee is killing me. I know I heard it in service, but you don't remember. I never went to sick call. A lot of people are like, I never went to sick call. We were down range. I just saw the medic. He gave me some Motrin. But you might be surprised when you look in their service treatment records that you may have mentioned that somewhere. Remember those old periodic exams we used to have to get?
Yeah.
And you had to fill out this big form and check all these blocks. Have you ever had XYZ? You may have checked the block. You don't know. You need your records. So definitely get your records. The other really important thing that I think folks don't do enough is seek the assistance of a veteran service organization. VFW is more than a place to go get a drink.
Yes.
VFW, Disabled American Veterans, Texas Veterans Commission, all these organizations, they are there to help you and guide you through the claims process. Right. Tell you another little thing most people don't know, that those organizations, those reps, actually have offices at the regional office. They're all downstairs. And so, right since COVID, granted, a lot of us have went home, but they have access to what I see on my job. And they also review your rating decisions before you see them. And I've seen a lot of times a Texas Veterans Commission rep will come upstairs when we were in the building and say, put it back on a rater's desk and say, hey, I don't agree with this. This is wrong. You need to relook this. They really advocate for veterans. So that to me is huge. People don't use it enough, but you should seek out a veteran service rep.
That is very true. She said a lot about the medical records too, and getting things annotated while you're downrange. Because I think my second deployment, I fell off an MRAP and tore my hip up. So, but I never went, I never went to sick call until 6 months of getting out of the military. So that was probably bad on my part. I was limping like the rest of my deployment, and it got pretty bad. And it's pretty bad now. I avoided surgery, but they're telling me eventually I'm gonna have to go in there and get something done to it.
Yikes.
Is it possible to claim something that's not on your medical records?
Yes, it is. There's several different ways, and I'm gonna try to cover them all. I know we're on a time limit here, but number one, presumptive service connections. There's a whole list of conditions that if you get this condition within, like, say, a year of service, we're going to hook it up even though it was never in service. Some of those things are like migraines, for instance, diabetes, different types of thyroid conditions. So those, if you are diagnosed with those within a year of discharge, we're going to hook it up. Then there's some more serious conditions too, like multiple sclerosis. If you get diagnosed with that within 7 years of discharge, we're going to grant service connection for that, no questions asked. So that's one way, presumptive. And that's just presumptive to your service period. There are also conditions that are presumptive to the conditions of your service, meaning where did you serve? A lot of people may know, maybe they don't, that Vietnam veterans, if they served in Vietnam, there is a whole slew of presumptive conditions that we grant service connection for immediately. Diabetes, heart disease, many other conditions. So that's the Vietnam vets. For our generation, if you served in the Gulf War, and by Gulf War, I'm not talking about in the 90s. The Gulf War is actually considered for VA purposes a period since August 2nd, 1990 through a future date of 2026. So if you served in the Gulf War, like you went to Iraq, for instance, there's a whole list of conditions that you can be hooked up for. And recently they changed the law, and things like sinusitis, rhinitis, and some other respiratory conditions, if you get that, we'll grant service connection. And then we have all of the, which a lot of people, this will ring a bell, the undiagnosed illnesses.
Right.
So those are things like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, various gastrointestinal disorders. So if you have those, I would suggest talking to your VSO, your veteran service rep, but filing a claim for those. Then there's a bunch that are also presumptive, but I've never seen a claim for. Remember that training we used to get about leishmaniasis? It's like a mosquito bit you and you get this disease, and malaria. Those are also presumptive if you went downrange. But then also remember the burn pits, like when you and I were on Warhorse and over there in that backfield. Whew. Well, if you get a respiratory condition now, you should definitely claim that and attribute it to the burn pits you were exposed to.
I didn't know that.
Because those were no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple other ways you could claim service connection for something not in your medical records is based on your MOS or qualifications. Let's say you were airborne and you jumped out of airplanes all the time. You never complained of anything, but now you have a bad back and bad knees. What you just said about falling off that NRAP, if something occurred in combat and it makes sense, you fell off the MRAP. Let's say you never went to the doctor for it. If you wrote in a claim and said, hey, I fell off this MRAP when I was downrange, now my hip's all messed up. That's another way to claim that is based on combat activities. And then one of the other ways is a secondary condition, meaning you're service connected for your right knee. It causes you to limp, and now your back is messed up because you've been limping and it kind of torques your body. Right. So there's a lot of ways that it doesn't have to be black and white in your service treatment records for it to be service connected.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
it's a question that I forgot to put on here, but I fell in this category because, like, what if you have an individual that all of a sudden can't work because of an illness that just popped up, but he's getting a certain type of percentage for it. Luckily, I had a good service rep that was helping me out in the process of this, and everything came out great. But they are those vets that I know a couple that can't work due to their condition, but they're rated at probably like 50 or 70%.
Yeah, so there's a misconception about this too. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to be rated at 100% because I won't be able to work. That's not true. If you are bona fide, rated in all your service-connected conditions, total up to 100%, you can work. What you're talking about, and it happens quite often, is veterans are service-connected for some disabilities. They're not at 100%. They're maybe at 70%, like you said, but it's so bad that it prevents them from working. In that case, they can apply for what's called individual unemployability. There are some parameters. You have to be at least 70% overall with one condition at 40, or you can have a single condition at 60. And if your service-connected conditions prevent you from working, what will happen is you will be paid at the 100% rate, but you cannot work.
Right.
So that's individual unemployability.
Man, thank you for answering that. Hey,
Yes, sir.
and another thing, you come across, I come across a lot of people. You probably come across them too. They become unmotivated about their denial of their compensation. Like, do you have something to say towards those individuals?
Yeah, absolutely. I would start with, don't give up. Number one. Number two, read your denial letter. When the VA denies a claim, that packet you get in the mail, most people open up the letter and they quick look and see if they got granted or not. And if they got denied, they're aggravated, start bad-mouthing the VA and whatnot. But you need to read the letter, because the letter tells you exactly why you were denied. And it tells you what you need to do to be service connected for that condition. Don't throw that letter away. Read it. It's it's a gold mine. You can, sometimes you may get denied and, be ready to throw in the towel. But the reason you were denied is because the examiner you went to said, he's not diagnosed with that, or, something like that. And you're like, yeah, I am. I have private treatment records over here showing it. And that would reopen your claim. Bam, right there. Don't give up. And I would say, go back to the first steps that I said, start from scratch. Do you have your service treatment records? Think of all the different ways that I mentioned of how you can attain service connection. And most importantly, get with that VSO, because he can look in the system. He can help you out, advise you, all these things. So I would say, don't give up, read your letter. You do have options after that. That don't include an appeal. I know everyone knows the appeals process used to be a years-long event, but the VA has changed it, and you have options to file a supplemental claim, which is kind of just saying, can you relook at this? You can file a higher level review to have a decision review officer review your claim and make a new decision, or you can go the appeals route. But just don't give up. Don't be disillusioned.
Okay. Do you in finishing, do you have something motivational to say to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a couple of other real quick pointers, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Because I do this every day. I've been working with the VA basically since I retired, and started working at the VA in 2011. But a few things to remember, because I see it all the time. Number one, if I already mentioned, if you're rated 100%, you can work. So don't be scared of being rated 100%. If you're already at 100%, in my opinion, don't file anything else, because you can't get higher than 100. And I see a lot of folks that get 100, start filing claims, and something goes wrong with an examiner and you get reduced. You don't want that. Keep in mind that when it comes to mental conditions, like if you're service connected for PTSD and you're seeking treatment and they diagnose you with depression, you only have one mind, so you can only get one evaluation. You're not going to get a separate evaluation for depression if you're already service connected for PTSD. They'll just put them together and give you one evaluation. Don't claim an increase on something that's maxed out. This is coming back to reading your decision letter. Like it'll say, like, you've been granted service connection for tinnitus, like ringing in the ears at 10%. Well, that's the max. So don't file an increase for that. Read the, educate yourself. You guys have the same tools that I have on my job. You can go into the rating schedule and see what equals what percentage. Importantly, get with your VSO. And lastly, if you're looking for a job, VA is hiring. We hire folks all the time. And let me tell you, I work at Waco, and you would not believe how many folks that I work with who I served with, who were somewhere in first cav or in another unit. We have a lot of veterans. So the people making decisions on your claims typically are also vets themselves. But we are hiring to see those jobs. They're all posted on USA Jobs, but it's a great organization to work for, and it's very fulfilling in that you can help other veterans.
Wow. I thank you for your time. Once again, I thank you for what you do. I thank you for what you have done as far as serving your country. I truly mean that. You are part of history. And I hope, because I hear a lot of people say when I say that, when we get off the call, like, I wasn't part of no history. But no, you were a part of history because you served during war and you was deployed during that time. So that is making you a part of history. Vietnam vets, they don't take it lightly, and we shouldn't take it lightly neither. So we fall into that. I wanted her to jump on here and talk about the VA claim process. I ran into a homeless guy. He was a vet. So I talked to him for about 10, 15 minutes before he just wanted to go on his way. I say, what happened? He said he checked out. He lost his job due to his condition. He had a family. And, I got kind of teary. And he told me, like, whenever he go in for a claim or try to talk to a VA rep, he just felt like he had no space or place to sit back and talk to anybody, because a lot of things that he was trying to claim or convey to him, it was either it wasn't in his records or he felt like he wasn't being heard. So he just pretty much just gave up on life. And he stands outside with a sign, not a knock on him, but I know a couple of other people personally that would just like to just give up. If you are that individual, please, somebody that's willing to sit back and hear you out. Reach out, let that individual, it could be your significant other, it could be a best friend. Let them walk you through the process to take you up there and keep you accountable of holding up the things that you need to do for yourself. But I thank you once again. Vets, let's talk. Who's up next for formation? I'm looking for some more ladies to jump on here. Isn't she looking nice today? Looking about 20-something years old. Hey, Vets, let's talk. Who's up next?